Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for tuning into Biz Dev Live, the Biz D with the C. I'm really excited to bring you Liz Gabor today. She is all about wellness. We're going to get into it right after the theme.
Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz Dev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T. Biz D with C, brought to you by Cameron T.
After many years as a dedicated geriatric social worker, Elizabeth Gabor knew that it was time to make a radical shift in her career and was organically drawn into the wellness arena as her focus. As an avid meditator and wellness fanatic, Elizabeth felt compelled to share these tools with as many people as she could. Elizabeth then received extensive training for healthcare providers at the world-renowned Center for Mind-Body Medicine in Washington, D.C., and began teaching mind-body skills to individuals, groups, and high school students. Elizabeth began teaching invaluable life and balance tools, which help to change the way individuals deal with stress, illness, and their lives. She incorporates meditation, imagery, visualization, mindfulness-based stress reduction techniques, and journaling into her work in order to create clarity, self-awareness, and stress reduction for her clients to live happier, more fulfilling lives. I was drawn to her because she really has the full empowerment of voice when she speaks. So excited to have you on the show today. Liz, thanks for joining us.
Hey, Cameron, thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here with you.
So tell me, I kind of gave the wide broaching story, but what are you doing right now? Tell us about your current business and what you're doing to help people.
Sure. Well, I am the founder of Aim Higher Holistic Coaching for Transformation, and I provide, what makes me a little bit different is I provide a different type of coaching because it includes meditation, because I think that really, you can't be really stressed out, and at the same time really have clarity about what your dreams and your goals and your North Star is. So I help people really manage their stress. At the same time, we develop a blueprint for them to figure out what it is that they want to do, be, and have in their lives. So that then we create action steps and milestones, and I support them through the process. And again, each session we ground in some form of meditation, and then they develop their own practice. And sometimes it's a meditation, sometimes it's an exercise, sometimes it's reading, sometimes it's walking. So it's different depending on the unique individual and what really helps them get into the flow and get into the present moment so that they can really be clear, and then take those action steps each day to focus them in the direction of their North Star, whatever that is for them.
That's awesome. I want to get into your history. I want to shout out Jesse Gabor. I'm assuming these are folks that you know. Great learning from Liz Gabor, such a wise woman. Rick, Gabriella, thanks for checking in. You were so right, Jesse. Lucky having her with you each day to guide you.
Hey.
Thanks, Rick. And our rock star, Lizzie Love. All right, so let's get into what sort of brought you to this place in the world. I'm really interested in knowing how this kind of became your passion and what you wanted to do with your life, because you have a particular type of role where you are in a place where you are helping other people. And I don't think people just fall into that automatically.
Right. I mean, I think that's always what I've always done. I mean, I've always been a sensitive person. So only interested in working with people and helping people. And I was kind of always the one people came to for advice as a kid. So I went into psychology in college, which came really easy. And then I got my master's in social work, and I chose to focus on geriatrics because I really always just I just saw so much wisdom that came from people who had been on the planet longer than I had. And from there, I stopped working for a little while, raising my two boys who inspire me, and I learn from every single day. They're my best teachers.
How old
And
are your boys now?
19 and 22.
Oh, wow. So are they both doing college this year?
Yes. Well, one is home already, and the other one just finished in the spring.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
A lot going on. All right. Go ahead.
Yeah. They teach me and they inspire me every day, for sure. And so for me, when I wanted to figure out going back to work, well, actually, let me backtrack for a second. I had always been, as I said, sensitive, but that also came, and an empath, which also came with a lot of suffering and a lot of anxiety that I would just had a very active mental chatter, very, very active. And that wasn't always so kind at all, which I think a lot of us do, that negative kind of self-talk. And it wasn't until 18 years ago that I was invited to what I thought was going to be a spa week, but it ended up being a mindfulness retreat based place. So the first day I was in a meditation on the floor, like literally next to body, but next to body, lying down for an hour. And I came out of there and I just felt different. I didn't know what it was. It was meditation, but I didn't really know anything about meditation at the time. And I came out of there and I wanted more. And so I went to every activity throughout the week, challenge activities. We had to hike blindfolded, just kind of being led by somebody's voice, jumping off of things, climbing up poles, all kinds of things that really engaged you in the present moment. And I was like, this is where it's at. These are like the keys to the kingdom, like presence, not, and then we can access that anytime if we just tune into that. And in that moment, everything is okay. So I became a student of meditation. I bought The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. I read it every year. That's like my, it just spoke to me so deeply. And I bought it in the airport and I started studying all the different forms, and I've been meditating, an avid meditator ever since. So when I wanted to go back to work, I knew I wanted to go in from the wellness side and just in utilizing those, sharing really the gift of mindfulness and meditation. And I was, of course, the universe brought me to a lecture that this man, Dr. James Gordon, he runs the Center for Mind Body Medicine in Washington, D.C. He was speaking at, and I just was hanging on every word he said. He was just a beautiful, brilliant man. And at the end of his talk, he said, I do trainings for nurses, doctors, social workers. And I like jumped out of my chair. I'm like, I can go to your training. And that kind of began, the work that I'm doing now, which then led into, so I started teaching meditation. I taught at my son's high school. I taught some mind body skills groups, some private clients. And I just kind of felt like, at one point, that because his work is wonderful, but he teaches it a lot of times in traumatized places where there's war, and I felt like the clients I was working with, yes, they needed this meditation piece, but I needed to offer them more, and I wasn't sure what. So I was just open and asking the universe, like, just give me a direction. And enter, Jack Canfield is how. Actually, it was because of Avi. I wanted him to get into some personal growth because I had become like a workshop and junkie since that first week that I went away 18 years ago. And when Avi was transitioning out of the supermarket business, I thought it was really important for him to find some kind of mentor in personal growth and development. And I thought of Jack Canfield because I had seen him speak just as one of the speakers at one of the many events I had been to. And I thought that Abe would relate to him because he's just humble and he's just a normal guy with a lot of wisdom. And we went to his week Breakthrough Success in 2016, and it was again the fireworks went off, and I was like, I need to learn everything this man taught because I was cracked open and transformed in that week, and I wanted to learn everything he was teaching in order to share it with as many people as I could. So I signed up in the back of the room for a year-long training and got certified in his highest level in his methodology, and actually started assisting him a couple times a year before the pandemic. And so, yeah, and it was just another thing that I felt it wasn't even like a choice. Like I knew I had to do this, which was
Well,
the same
it's
with,
one of those things I really relate to, seeing somebody that's talking about something. I've been in the event business for a long time, so you see a lot of presenters, you see a lot of speakers. Not everybody sort of wows you or gets you out of your seat. But I remember a couple of talks from my past, and I love business. I love talking about business. And I was a part of a Disney presentation where somebody was talking about the way they design the park and the way that you look when you walk in. So, when something hits you, it hits you. So I think, everybody can relate with that. And I know that you've been somebody that, when you're talking, you're working with somebody, you're somebody that stands out to folks like that. So you've been able to kind of transfer what you've sort of experienced and give that to others, which I know is huge. I think that's something that, when you're in that sort of space of education and presenting, that's so big when you find somebody that, wow, they have a message that's powerful, impactful, and I want to hang on. And it's life-changing, right? It does change your life.
It's life-changing. I mean, and that's why I love those type of like immersion things that I became such a junkie, and why I love to teach them and why I love to go to them, because it's just, there's an energy that happens. And it's
AB said I get chills whenever I'm remembered about the week Liz and I spent with Jack. And when I look at AB, he's like very calm, centered dude, which not every guy is, right? He's very calm and has that thing. So you can tell he's got that kind of stuff going on in his life. Not everybody has that.
Well, we check each other often. It's like in the house, I'm like, wait a minute, we need to change the channel here. Let's tune up to a higher frequency. Let's be in the light. Like, so we do that for each other when we find ourselves, maybe our vibration is a little lower, or we get into like a human being, angry or upset, like, all the full range of emotions that we all have, but we like check each other, like, and we start laughing, and, and then we kind of get back into, a better state. We choose a better state.
Absolutely. Rick's another one that, one of the things I really enjoy about Rick is he always knows how to call people out and do great testimonial stuff. Lizzie has a wonderful blend of life experience and childlike warmth for others. She brings out the best in all of us. She's a shining example of limitless love. I
love you. Thank you. You, as are you, and Carol.
So talk to us. So you go through this, you get this training that impacts you, bring this to AB, your husband. Talk to us about how you kind of move forward into that.
So I came back and I wanted to start to teach this stuff. So, I started incorporating it in my teaching with the kids that I was teaching in the high school. I started teaching adult school classes, and I started doing some workshops. I'm in the process of starting to develop courses, because I want to have this out there for people, for forever. And what I know about these success principles, and really all the things that I teach, is that they work. They work for anyone, any walk of life. You can be in White Plains, New York, or in, wherever in the world. And if you kind of work the principles always work. And it's the same thing with like the meditation stuff. It's, if you do it, you have to do the practices. You have to do the work. But if you do it, you're going to see the benefits. And it's also the same with the yoga that I teach. It's just another tool to become more aware, more intuitive, to kind of activate your intuition, your inner wisdom that's always there. But for a lot of us, it's kind of buried, or it's just, we're living from this reactivity instead of from that place of knowing that's in all of us, that part of us, that godlike part of us that is all knowing, all living, never ending. And so I kind of, I'm teaching yoga. I teach a couple classes a week, and with my clients, it's basically also we start from a place of where what's new and good for you. First of all, let's start with the positive. Let's celebrate your successes for the week or whatever, and then maybe like a little meditation, dropping into like checking in with yourself, and from there, working on whatever it is that people need to work on, or choose to work on.
So I know you do your yoga instructor, you practice the mindfulness thing. they're not exactly one and the same, but obviously they fit together kind of well. How have you kind of gone through the approach of, bringing different things together? Why do you do, because I know you're doing this coaching thing, I know you do the yoga thing, and they can be together, but not necessarily. So what sort of, how do you kind of decide on what the thing that you're teaching or what's best for a given person? Obviously, I think you probably want somebody to kind of practice both mindfulness and yoga, but I'm sort of wondering kind of what your approach is. You're going out in the world and you're talking about your services, or you're working with people in terms of like deciding, hey, you need this more, you need this more, you definitely need the whole package, and sort of what sort of drives that passion behind it. Like obviously I know you're excited about what it's done for you, but I'm kind of wondering what you've sort of seen in others that has driven you towards this direction of practicing these things and instructing these things.
I mean, again, it's not about me, but it is that the fact that I learned each of these modalities because I needed them. So I needed to learn them the most, and I know that they work. And so, yeah, it's really based on what people come to me wanting, because, everybody, I don't really tell people what they need. It's really, some people come to me just for yoga, and then some yoga students have become my clients for coaching. I have one meditation client who literally for the past few years she only wants to do meditation. She doesn't want to go anywhere else, and that's fine too. So I meet people where they are, which is also grounded in my social work background. It's you start where the client is and you go from there. And as I work with people, I kind of assess how far they want to go. I have somebody who just, really needs me to push him, just push him because he needs that, and it's almost like he's asking for it. And I can intuitively hear that. Does that make sense?
No, absolutely. And I think it goes to this theme, because I know we were talking about takeaways. So like transformation is possible for everyone, but I think it takes a little bit of different time. And I think you were speaking to that, right? So you're talking about, I can tell somebody how to, promote their business on video, but it really starts from a level of comfort, right? If you're not comfortable going live, if you're not comfortable filming yourself, there's other ways to do it. You can get started with doing other pieces of it. We have
I agree. I agree that I think, not everybody especially with this, Zoom world now, that some people don't feel comfortable on camera. And believe me, I had a crippling fear of public speaking for many, many, many years. And I would have said you were insane if you told me that I would be doing this for a living. So I know that there is like kind of a way through those blocks, and facing the fear and doing it anyway. But for some people, it's, just maybe they want to write, or maybe they want to do, there's other ways to express yourself rather than, just being on camera. So I think
we got to definitely talk about how you got through the fear of public speaking. Obviously, you're doing that now. It might be a little bit easier. I know some people are like, I can talk into a camera, but getting in front of a room, but you've had to do obviously both. Jesse has this question: what is one strategy to help with stress no matter where you are?
I mean, as he knows, but for everybody, just consciously tuning into your breath, consciously tuning in and slowing down your breath, breathing in for 4 and breathing out for slower, exhaling.
So I'm going to ask everybody that's watching right now, if you haven't done this, or even if you have done it, to play along here as Liz is going, practice it. I've done this in actually education sessions. I've gone, we do the live meetings and they bring people in to talk about mindfulness and meditation and yoga. And so you'll do some of those practices, and it's amazing because even just a few minutes of doing it, it changes your day.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to have you start over, Liz. Go ahead, and everybody will all play along with you here.
Yeah, so this is just consciously slowing down your breath. I'll share another one. This is 16 seconds to calm. It's taught in a lot all over the country. I know with first responders, in order for people to kind of center themselves before going into a situation that could be stressful, so that they make the best decisions in those moments. So it's basically, you're just going to be I'll just breathing in for 4, holding the breath, suspending it for 4, breathing out for 4, and then holding the breath out for 4. And I'll guide you through it. Okay. So you can close your eyes, because closing your eyes is just a way to tune in more to your senses and calm your nervous system. So you're going to breathe in for the count of 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, and suspend the breath gently. Just suspend. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out for 1, 2, 3, 4, and just hold the breath out, pausing. 1, 2, 3, 4. We could do one more round. Breathing in for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Suspend, gently suspend for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Breathing out for 4. Let the air fall out of your nose or your mouth. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold it out for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Gently.
It's amazing. We're all going through, I think, stressful times right now. So having these little techniques to center yourself, and I definitely feel just a moment of relax, a little bit less kind of noise going on. It's amazing.
And you know what? It really, like, if you just pay attention, it actually like really just tunes you into all your senses more. Like you just get a little clearer. Like you might see the colors a little better, or hear the sounds, or whatever, taste the food a little more with a little more clarity, which is really a good way to experience life, right? With fully.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So talk to us a little bit about the idea of, learning to be present and thankful in the moment. Obviously we're going through a stressful year, stressful time, wherever you are on the political divide. There's things going on that are affecting everybody, wherever your financials are at home, kids, virtual learning, all that jazz. Talk to us a little bit about how to stay present. And because I think it's very easy for us all to fall into this anxious, anxiety, stress trap.
How we can stay present, is that?
Yeah, how we can stay present and thankful in the moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because there's a lot going on during the day, right?
Yeah. I mean, we've all kind of heard about the importance of kind of having a morning routine. I think it's really important to have a little bit of time in the morning when you first get up, to just, in whatever way for you, so you can take a few minutes just to say a couple things you're grateful for, and feel that gratitude. And then take a couple of moments to think about, how do you want to feel today? I love the idea, and I share with people about choosing your mindset or your attitude for the week, or for the day. How do I want to feel today? I like to say, what state do you want to be in? I say, I want to be in a peaceful state, or I want to be in a beautiful state, or I am going to be, and when you do feel anxious, or when things like get worried, rather than saying, I am anxious, I am depressed, I am, rather just, it's about stepping back and saying, oh, I see, kind of becoming the observer of that. So you step back and you're like, oh, there's anxiety. Oh, I'm feeling like anger is coming up, and so not, you're not the anger. I am feeling nervous. I'm feeling anxious, or just naming the feeling, anxiety, and just that gives you a little bit of a distance between that is you, and that you think it is, that feeling of that anxiety. Does that make sense? So it's just,
yeah, I think it's along those lines of just about any problem or challenge that you have. Understanding that you have a problem or challenge is the first step to actually beginning to work through it. And then you recognize it, and now breathing, or that piece steps in. So I understand that that's happening now, because if you're not doing that, then you can't put any of these strategies to work, right?
Yeah. And just realizing that you are not your thoughts. That was one of the biggest lessons for me that no one ever taught me in social work school. That I am not my thoughts. My thoughts are, they're just thoughts. Just like, let them go by like clouds in the sky, and they will move. And stress, like reactions like that, there's a cycle. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. So you need to complete that cycle, and then you can move. Then you can release it. a lot of us get stuck in that, in that cycle. But really it's just like, okay, I have this feeling, let me move it through me and then get to the other side. So.
Yeah, no, absolutely. You can see it. I mean, I think it's really easy, for somebody like myself who has 4, smallest children, 3-year-old, 9-year-old, 12-year-old, 14-year-old, and seeing that on a daily basis play out, the wants and needs thing. My 9-year-old is like, every day it's a new want, a new need. I need, a PlayStation 5, right? And trying to understand, you're managing everything from just attitudinal kind of stuff that is also that mental state of, am I present in the moment? Am I thankful for what I have right now? Or am I feeling this kind of crazy desire for something that I don't even really need in my life? So you're seeing that play out in the kids. And then it's interesting because then I, so we'll bring that forward to my life and, what am I, saying I want and need right now, or the stress of, I don't have something. How is that affecting, my moment and being able to say, okay, I see that and let me manage that. Right.
Yeah. Well, I mean, Karen, we've all been programmed, right, into that with everything, going on at us all the time of the things that we need and what's going to make us feel good from the outside. So we're all like kind of been, are infected by that on a daily, on an hourly basis. So yeah, it's just, again, it's like trying to set aside those times where you step away from the screen and you kind of set aside times when you're going to look at social media, say, and also, stopping and pausing and saying, do I really need that? Is that what I need? Is that really what I need? Or is there something else that I'm like trying to feed that with, that thing or whatever?
Yeah. The internet is tapped in. It was funny. I was just putting in random things. I was looking at some stuff and, the internet picks it up and suddenly it's in my Facebook feed. And now, it's being thrown at you. So you got to be really careful about understanding the messages being thrown at you. So key. Talk to me a little bit about how, because I know you're dealing with folks. I mean, everyone from the geriatric community to you got, folks that you're in the business world that you're coaching. What are some of the strategies that you're kind of working with people on being more productive and getting through their day, being more centered and productive?
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that I learned from Jack, but it's something that I have used, and some of you I've shared this with, but it's the formula. I think Avi may have shared it when he was on your show, Cameron, but it's the formula of events plus your response equals the outcome. So the events happen. We don't have control over a lot of the events like what we're going through right now. A lot of things in our lives that we deal with, we would not choose for ourselves, right? Illnesses, all kinds of things. But what we do have control over is how we respond, what the thoughts that we think about it, the images we create in our minds, and the actions, what we say and what we do. We have control over that. And that is really what's going to, affect how we experience our lives. And I go back to that all the time, that formula. I mean, it helped me when my father was sick, for 2 years. That was my biggest spiritual assignment. I had to just say, does this stuff really work? And I would say, this is the event. I cannot control that he has this illness. I can't, that's between him and God. And, that's not something I can control. What can I control? I can control how I show up every week when I visit him. And I can show up with love. I can show up with light. I can show up without being reactive to how he is, and just be loving. And it brought so much peace to me and I know to him. Not that it wasn't that I had moments where I broke down when I got in the car, and I would just, I would turn on the car, listen to Wayne Dyer on my way home and on my way there, and bring myself back to, because it wasn't going to do him any good for me to suffer with that. What I could control is like showing up with love and light and just, and just trust and surrender into what was happening, what I couldn't control. So.
I love that. We got some more folks commenting here. So Liz's advice has gotten me through the most difficult times. I always remember to breathe after talking to her. And it's so funny. Something as simple as breathing, and interesting, because sometimes you just, even if there's something, you need somebody to sort of remind you and guide you. You need that message, and you may need that message more often than you think. And having that kind of peace included in your life, we're part of Master Networks, and so you may not think, I go to this meeting every week, I see maybe some of the same people, but you need that, if you're going to up your game and you're thinking about how am I going to bring this level, and then how am I going to actually utilize that session to advance me through the rest of the week, that is really important. And I think Oscar's who programmed you, right? What are you putting out there in the world, and how are you calling back to it? Because like we were saying before, how do you recognize it if you don't, how do you deal with the problem if you don't actually recognize it to begin with? It's really good.
Yeah. No, I agree. The Master Networks thing too. Yeah, it is. It's a way to it's a connection with, you see people in those little squares, it doesn't matter. But if you show up smiling and you engage and you're there to give value, and be a positive energy, I think it's I love it. It's so beautiful, the beautiful networking. And it's funny because I was not a networker, I was a social worker. We didn't do networking, so as an entrepreneur, I think it's we have to, and I love that we both, and a lot of the people on the live, are a part of it too. And we've made unbelievable lifelong friends. Carol and Rick are going to be our lifelong friends among others. So yeah, it's a blessing.
So I want to bring this in because this is something we talked about before we jumped on today. Don't ask what the world needs. Ask what makes you come alive, and go do that, because what the world needs is people who have come alive. So talk to us about this. This quote by Howard Thurman. I think this is extremely powerful. So talk to me how you kind of help people get to this place of focusing on what makes them come alive instead of what they think the other people need from them.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a lot of people, especially a lot of women, have played small, and they think about that everyone else's needs are more important than their own. And we're caretakers, and I think that for speaking about women for a moment, but women, I think have so much radiant power if they are fulfilling their desires and what their dreams are and what makes them come alive. Because when women and men come alive, it's just the energy, it's just everyone rises, everything rises. And so I think that a lot of people and women are deficient in kind of doing the things that light up their heart, that light them up, the things that really make them feel tuned in and tapped in, and so I want people to, what I do with people, I have them write a joy review. What brings you joy, and write those things down, and then schedule those things in your day. And they might think that it'll make them less productive, but it will not make them, it'll make them more productive. It'll make them more engaged. It'll make them more alive, more better communicators with their family, more present, all the things. So I think it's a problem for a lot of people that they just I don't have time to do those things. I don't have time for self-care. I don't have time for the things. But it doesn't, it can be just kind of making your space. I make my space where I work, sacred, and I have candles and I have sayings. Like you were saying, you need to be reminded. I have reminders all over the place. In addition to my vision board, which is right in front of my computer. So I look at it all the time. So, I think and for some people, they don't really, if they have come to a place where they don't know anymore what makes them come alive, we try to tap into what were the things that you did when you did feel alive. What are things that maybe you used to do? What are the things that you can do that are playful, to engage in, play, which I think is really something that's not done enough as adults. We need to learn from kids. Laughing, playing, is really important.
Agreed. I mean, along these lines, me and my wife, we've gone through this. She's been a cashier. We work, we both have lives in food service. I opened up Total Men Staffing. She's, was most recently doing, running a Starbucks inside the IBM building. So, she's been like, oh, I want to do this. And I'm like, go, because she's into hair and makeup and beauty. I'm like, go do it. And she's like worried about the fine. I'm like, we'll be okay. You can do it. But she's, I think women, you sort of hit that on the head. They are thinking about caregiving first. They're thinking about the children's needs. They're thinking about their husband's needs, and they're not necessarily thinking about their needs. And meanwhile, me, I'm sitting there like, no, we're okay. We can do this. And she refuses to put herself first, right? And so it gets in the way of our relationship sometimes because I know that she isn't doing the thing that most fulfills her sometimes. So I'm pushing her. And so that's something that's getting in the way. I'm using that personal situation, but I've, done 700 interviews over the last 9 years. And so I'll often have a woman, often a young woman that's sitting across the table from me, and older or younger, a lot of the same societal kind of things will pop up in terms of not having that same confidence of a peer that's male that's the same age.
Yeah.
Not even, in the case of some of the older women, having the confidence of some of the younger males, that clearly don't have the work experience and, credentials behind them. So a lot of times I find myself, and that's the favorite part of my job, sort of being that in that mentor role, like, don't apologize. There's nothing to apologize for. Stop apologizing. You have incredible experience. And what I expect from you is to own that, come on site and be that. And our clients will be really happy. And I'll be very fortunate to have you in my workforce because it's not a positive when you're not confident about your own skills and you're not trying to do what really lights you up and throws passion with you. So whether it's my wife or somebody out in the workforce, it doesn't behoove you not to be excited about what you're doing.
I completely agree. And I think that even, with that quote being said, I also believe that, sometimes life, you have to, whatever you are doing, you can bring that energy, you can bring that light into anything. Like I know people who want to leave their job, and I tell them but they don't know what they want to do next. I'm like, don't leave your job yet. Like, just show up to your job in a different way. Maybe, get pizza for everybody one day, or just go in there with a light, see that light in you and then see it in them, and just practice a little exercise in that and see if anything changes and see if you can experience that experience differently, just like you were saying, and I gave the example somewhere I was speaking about, might have been Master Networks, how this one guy was talking, he went to the Four Seasons in Vegas, and he had this barista serve him coffee in the morning. And this guy was just like lit up and just like, how are you? It's just one of those people, who serves you and you just feel good, or you could also be one of the people who are buying the coffee, which I try to do whenever I'm, being serviced by anybody. But that being said, the same man went to another casino that night, and he saw the same guy who was bartending, and the guy was just a whole different person. He was just wouldn't look him in the eye. He was just kind of moping around, and the guy's like, "Wait a minute, aren't you the guy from this morning? And what happened from now and from this morning till now?" And he's like, "It's just this environment. They treat me." Horribly here in the Four Seasons. They all treat me so well, and everybody's nice to each other and kind. And here it's just about, how much I'm selling, and no one speaks nicely to each other. It's interesting how we affect each other, right? And how we can choose to show up. So, and be affected by our environment.
I love that. I'm going to say this because I think this just really popped out of my mind, but that quote was circling around on social media and everything. But, the father that gives the son a old kind of car and says, hey, take this to a couple different places and see what they'll give you for it. And so he brings it to like the new dealership, and they're not willing to give him anything. He brings it to the car club. They're willing to like give him, $100,000 or whatever, because it's a collector's item. So it's like, the lesson there is go where you're valued. And if you're not valued, that is not the right place for you. And that's so striking. I have a sister that, has been divorced. She's got 4 kids. you just think about all of these folks, whether it's women or men, that are you in a place, are you somewhere where you're being valued? And if you're not being valued, get out of there, go someplace that you're going to be valued. And like you said, maybe the thing isn't to quit your job today, but definitely be sampling, definitely be looking. Carol said, Oscar said, don't go grow up. It's a trap. I think that sort of speaks to the idea of like, we sort of stop sampling after a while. You're a kid, you're going to your education, you're trying this over here, maybe an internship, you take this part-time job, but at a certain point, we just sort of stop sampling life and taking little bites and tastes. And especially if you're not satisfied, go out there and sample, right?
Absolutely, because it's changed. I mean, I think that, well, at least I was brought up, you're younger than me, but with, that people, if they go to a job, they pick a career, or they pick a craft or a profession, and they stay in it their whole lives. And what I think that the exciting thing about my kids, their future, is that it is not about that. They can do and shift and change and pivot, and to different careers along the way, whatever, wherever life and their curiosity takes them, So, again, I think that people who stay in those places, like, or those marriages or those things that are not good for them, really, they end up just complaining about it, blaming the other person, which doesn't do anything to serve them. So, part of the principles that I teach, and I have had to become a recovering blamer, is, you got to give up complaining and blaming. Because, if you're complaining or blaming about something, it means that, there's something else that you could be doing that you're not willing to risk creating or trying, or, or leaving that job or leaving that, so, it's really choosing yourself, choosing rather than, just settling and resignation is really sad to me.
I know in the lead up to this, we were talking about you're like a recovering overthinker. Can you talk a little bit about that? Like, just because I think that plays into it, right? Just along the lines of what you're saying, sometimes we're overthinking it. I know there's something right now. I know I can do it. There's no reason not to do it, but I'm not doing it because I'm overthinking it. I'm worrying about it. I'm stressing, overanalyzing instead of just doing. So talk to us about your experience with that and how you've kind of overcome that.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think thinking is bad. Thinking is good. Our brain thinks, and that's what it's supposed to be doing, right? We can't stop the thoughts. However, where stress and where it becomes a problem is when we are ruminating about the past, something that already happened, it's over, or we are future tripping, I call it, or catastrophize. Well, we could catastrophize about something that already happened, like, or future tripping about worrying about, what can be in the future, rather than, for me, learning that, just stop and just come back into this moment. And even if this moment is difficult, there's going to be another moment, right? And another moment behind that. So it's, and then like for you, or what you were saying with the thing that you have on the plate for you, it's like, just take the first step, just do something, like, I mean, I'm starting to write these courses, and I had to write 25 titles before I started writing the first one. And it's like, no, start the first course, write the modules, do so just taking action, in order to the law of attraction, right? The word action is in there. So it's in the word attraction is action. So action is required in order to get us what we want. And, I as an overthinker, I see it as a strength because I'm intuitive, and it kind of goes along with being an empath, where you feel other people's, energy. And it's something that is really helpful to me now, but it was not always helpful because I didn't know how to channel it into something positive. Right. And now I do. Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely. And for those that don't understand empath, because the way I sort of take it to mean, and maybe you can sort of expand the meaning of it and the definition for me. But, we talk a lot about in the business world, understanding people's emotions. So I'm going to flub the name, but people or emotional IQ.
Emotional intelligence. Yeah.
So is that what you're talking about when you say empath, and just having that understanding of how other people are feeling and how to respond?
Well, yes, I think empaths definitely have a high emotional intelligence. So yeah, so it's tuning into what you feel the other person is feeling, what you think they need from you, and showing up in that way, and so and as an empath, like I said, so we do feel things, the joys and the pain deeply, and that could be overwhelming as far as the pains, and sometimes even the joys, like I'm the one to get the most excited, in a movie, or cry the loudest, or jump up and down when something makes me happy, which could be startling to some people, but so I have to kind of be aware of that. But I think emotional intelligence, yeah, it's about listening, being a good listener, and kind of feeling what you think the other person, and if you don't know, asking what the other person needs, just.
Yeah, the simplest example on this is something that I heard, I can't remember where I took it, but it's just one of those things where, you're coming in for a business deal, right? Or, whether that's a job negotiation, you're trying to get somebody to purchase services, or vice versa, the other way around. But as you're coming into the room, or you're coming on to the Zoom call, and this is something that is good for our digital age and folks that are doing this, how you come into that call, right? And, whatever was happening before, understanding that as the person sees you, and this is like, it's so like a meta kind of thing, but, so the person is going to make a judgment on whether they like you based on whether they think you like them. And that comes from, if I come into the room and I have a smile on my face, then it's assumed, oh, this person likes me, so I like them. If I come into the room with a frown, oh, this person doesn't like me, doesn't want to be here, I don't like them. And so just the split second kind of thing, and I always talk about that in my interviews with the staff and folks, because that makes a big difference as we're coming on to site, what the total interaction for that day is going to be. Are they going to be happy with our services? Are they going to let up and let us do our job and not be micromanaging? It's managing that relationship. And it starts with that emotional understanding of the other, before you even get into empath, just the understanding of the psychology, like how you look affects the other person and how they think about you. And it's wild to me, but it's psychology and it works. It goes back to, breathing. These are like little things, but it's like exercise. If you don't do it, you're going to get out of shape.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, I think that these breathing exercises, they're like push-ups for your mind, for your spirit, for your nervous system, really. But I agree with you. And I think that we were so often, we have a story, like we were programmed again with these stories that may have been, we were born into a drama, right? Like we were born, we don't really are born with a clean slate. We're born with a drama that was from our parents and their parents and their parents. And so some of these things that we might see someone in a meeting come in with a certain look on their face, and it might remind us of, grandpa who yelled at me or something, so it's like we have all these layers of that, where if we just, come into the present moment and think, okay, like maybe this is not about this person, it's something like they could have had something bad to eat, who knows, but we need to question our stories that we're telling ourselves and our first reactions to them. With that being said, again, we want to come in with our good energy, and that's really all we can control. But to see that, that see everyone in ourselves. That's one of the tenets of the yoga, see that the other is you. And if we really, everyone's holding up, I hold up a mirror. That's what I do. I hold up a mirror to people, that's kind of what I do all day. Like, let's take a look at what you're thinking and what you're seeing, and what you're telling yourself, what stories, are they true? Question them. And then you can rewrite them and let go of them. Like me letting go of the fear of speaking. That was a story that I told myself for years and years and years, that I had no voice and I should have no voice. Until I said, you know what? People want to listen to me. And I've been I really, I have friends that come to me and I have things to say. And now that I've learned all this stuff, I have things to share that I know can help people. So, I had to let go of that story. It worked for a while to keep me safe, I guess, but when then it didn't work anymore. So I was able to let it go.
I think it's really interesting because people will say, you know what, I don't have anything of value. And so not only are they doing themselves a disservice, right? If you said, you know what, I don't have anything important to say. I learned things from mother and I'm just going to be copying, or then you're denying all the people that you can teach. And I think that's a great way to look at it when you're kind of going out into the world. And it goes on, back to the quote, right? Do what makes you come alive. Don't worry about what the world needs or what the world is judging you about, but just what really excites you and gets you jazzed up for the day, and know that there's abundance and that you're going to bring value into the world.
Absolutely. And every single one of us is born with unique gifts that the world needs. And, and so everybody who's listening, just own that and share your gifts, don't keep them to yourself. The world needs every one of us, and all the goodness that we have to share that is in us, and kindness.
So maybe we can just do, maybe one more kind of, I don't know if you want to do a breathing exercise or talk about yoga in particular, about somebody. I mean, I know a lot of us, including myself, are spending a lot of time at our desks, at home. Is there anybody, or is there anything that you would recommend for that person that is working virtually, isn't even walking to the car like they normally would, and walking from the parking lot to their office, or doing some of the house calls? They're sitting at their desk at home. They have nonstop access to the internet and news. They're not walking and moving like they normally would. What is some things that you would recommend that they add into their day if they're not getting out there and doing yoga and practicing mindfulness?
Yeah, I mean, well, I think what would be great is for everyone every hour to take 5 minutes. Just put that into your schedule at the end of the hour, the top of the hour, 5 minutes of something. Sometimes I do push-ups for 5 minutes. Sometimes there's a meditation. It's just like this. I do it under the table sometimes if I'm nervous about talking. It's just, you can say it out louder to yourself. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. Peace begins with me. And you don't have to say, you could just do it with your fingers, because it's hitting the different meridians in your body as you hit the different fingers, kind of forcefully. Peace begins with me. That's a really good one. Another thing I do, which some of you know, is just called the yes breath. So you raise up your arms and you say, yes, 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 yes to life, yes to feeling good, yes to whatever it is, and you could do it standing, you could do it sitting. There's another, you could just, shaking out whatever junk.
Getting moving, yes.
Shaking all, standing up and just really.
So I'm gonna do that right now. Hopefully everybody's.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's so good.
It's actually meditation.
You don't do it.
Yeah. Sorry.
I was just saying, if you don't do it, you don't do it. If you don't think about doing it, you won't do it. So it's great. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No. The shaking meditation, it's actually an ancient meditation. And you can look it up. And I did it for 40 minutes every day for 40 days in the morning. And it's literally, I mean, I loved it so much. It just gets rid of all the junk that's stuck in our cells, because those emotions and stuff that don't serve us are somewhere in us. And so if you shake it all out, or at the end of the day, when you want to shake off your day so you can enter your home with your family, letting go of that stuff from the day that maybe, you don't want to bring into your house, or you don't want to bring downstairs from your office or in your house. Yeah, you can look it up, shaking meditation.
I love that. And I think those kind of things that just are easy, again, going back to like the little bite-sized pieces of how to get your mental health order. I want to talk about how people can interact with you. So I know you always have something going on, so we'll give you a chance to talk about how people can get in touch with you and what kind of things that you're offering. What are some type of people that you're looking to connect with?
Well, I love doing speaking engagements. So I am definitely open to speaking at any groups, women's groups, churches, temples, any groups that are gathering in person or virtually. And anyone if anyone's struggling, people who are struggling and they're willing to ask for some help. I would love to work with them, because I do, I understand, I know what suffering is like. I know what it feels like. I've been there, and I know what it feels like to, to come out of that and really have peace. Peace to me is, the definition of success for myself, but, whatever it is for other people, I honor. And I open to doing vision board workshops. I did 8 of them over COVID, and they were really well received. And I think it's a great way to just kind of tune in again to your dreams and your desires and what you want to bring into your life. And so I have a workshop I offer businesses or individuals, whoever wants that. And
I don't want you to forget, because I'm always hearing it, and not necessarily the place that I would attempt, but you're talking about ageless goddesses. You're getting people together around that concept, the women empowerment thing. I was actually really excited about today, because I think that's something that my audience in particular would be interested in.
Absolutely. So it's a Facebook group called Ageless Goddess Vibe Tribe. And I created it a few months ago. We're going strong at like 150 women. We've had a few events virtually, which have been really fun and really great. And it's really about shifting the paradigm for women around aging, because I think it's been the way that we've been, again, programmed to believe that aging means decline, disease, and deterioration is no longer the truth. We're living longer and longer and healthier, and there's no reason why we shouldn't be able to do all the things that we're doing at any age, and I plan on doing all of those. I'm not going to stop. I'm just getting started. And so are you, if you're a woman who thinks that they might be getting older. And it came about because myself was turning 50 a few years ago, and my group of close friends were all starting to complain about all the things that were going wrong in their looks and in their body, and not being sexy to men, or a couple of the single, or one of the single people. But and I was like, stop it, we are ageless goddesses. And it just kind of became a thing where I was just say happy Ageless Goddess Day on their birthdays. And it was kind of like something that's been in the back of my mind that I really want to create a movement around. I want this to be like a movement. I want everyone to be like, I am an ageless goddess, and wear the t-shirt and wear that, wear that crown of knowing that as we get older, we have wisdom. We have more wisdom. We've been here longer. So don't envy the younger people. They should envy us, because we've been here longer and we have more. We've lived more.
Yeah, I love that. And it's catching on, because I hear it in other master network meetings and other spots. So Ageless Goddess, I think, my 5 a.m. club, I think some of my folks that are with me at 5 a.m. in the morning talking about that with Monroe's group. So it's definitely something that is catching on. So you're doing a good job with that. Hopefully, we'll set it in the comments for later, a link to the Facebook group, because I'm not a part of the Ageless Goddess group for some reason. And
I know I've been trying to, Rob, if you see, and to Avi, I want them to start a, Ageless God Vibe Tribe for the men. I nominated them.
I wasn't pushing for that, but I just thought it'd be funny. But I think it's such a needed thing. Again, going back to like confidence issues and all that, like I see the need with it within my own family. So it's exciting that you're doing that. We're living in a society that I think is better than it has ever been in the history of the world. Still, lots of issues, lots of challenges, but a lot better than ever. So, having these resource groups that are, coming together, bringing women together, empowering women, certainly, working on those lessons of be someplace where you're valued, but more to the point, having that camaraderie ship to lift each other up, network, and propel each other forward is a big deal. So thank you for being a leader and doing that. That's a big deal. And, I'm a guy, but I think that, all of us men really, really, really get a big advantage when women play a bigger part in society and are a bigger part of the workforce and are part of our companies and our corporations. There's lots of studies around the world when women, earn money in a community, the community does better. There's so many statistics. It's science, it's facts. Anybody that's sort of got a, sort of weird, aged out outlook, boo on you, wake up. Here we go. It's a new day. So what are ways for people to get in touch with you?
Sorry?
What are ways for people to get?
Yeah, so we'll leave it. I have my website is on Thrive, so it's can we put it in the notes so that people can get it rather than me, because it's like a long kind of a link.
Well, say it one time, and then we will put it in the notes right after.
Okay, so it's Liz Gabor. Let me just find it because
no. I got your LinkedIn down below, so you can connect with her.
Yeah.
That's in the notes below.
Yeah.
But I was talking more about.
So it's my Thrive. And it is, let's see, I'm sorry.
No, we can put it in the link below.
Yeah. And there you can see all the offerings and and a little more about what I do also. But I appreciate this. I thank you for having me. And yeah, I appreciate what you said about women. The patriarchal models is over, in my opinion.
So I want you to leave everybody with just maybe some final words of wisdom. I'll let you have the last word, and then we'll come out on the BizDev theme here.
So I'll just end with, a quote from Viktor Frankl, which, it's just something that I think that we can always choose our attitude. Like you were saying, joy is attitudinal. Joy is not situational. Like peace is a state of mind. Peace and joy are a state of mind, I think, not based on emotions or circumstances. And so Viktor Frankl, who was a Holocaust survivor and experienced, the horrors of the Holocaust, he said about his experience, everything can be taken from a man or woman, but one thing, the last of human freedoms, to choose one's attitude in any given set of circumstances. So, every day, every moment, whenever you need to, if you need to, choose again, choose a higher vibing thought, choose a better attitude. If you're saying not nice things to yourself, just reframe it, speak something positive, just affirm the positive things and surround yourself with people that bring you up, that, that inspire you, not expire you, right? That make you expand, not contract. Again, but it really, so we need the people around us that support us and inspire us, but also just to remember that peace begins with me, right?
Awesome. So, thank you, Liz.
Thank you.
BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. This is business development, not even selling it. This is intelligent. If you watch it, I promise you benefit. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. Leadership and motivation, empathy and inspiration. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizDev Live, weekdays at 11 Eastern Time. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T. BizD with C, brought to you by Cameron T.